For the last few years, residential real estate companies have had to join forces or die.
Tariffs have terrified Wall Street, but so far, New York City's biggest builders said they aren't feeling the pain.
With Donald Trump back in office, all eyes are back on Mar-a-Lago and Palm Beach.
For Scott Turner, improving housing in America is not just a political goal. He's framed it as a spiritual mission. For Scott Turner, improving housing in America is not just a political goal. He's framed it as a spiritual mission. When I spoke to the HUD secretary for our cover story last month, I wanted to understand how this former NFL player and associate pastor became President Trump's choice for the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I also wanted to understand how Turner planned to revitalize the country's housing programs while also slashing the department's workforce and totally overhauling important programs like the rental assistance program. Turner told me that he sees his job as a rebalancing of the agency. He says he's big on helping Americans who are struggling, eradicating homelessness, but also supports cutting social safety net programs and emphasizes that people should help themselves. Some experts I spoke to pointed out the contradictions of such goals. One said to me that you can't have it both ways. Turner also said he wants to cut red tape, and so is Trump, but there aren't a lot of specifics on how yet. There are a lot of details on how Turner sees his job ideologically, though. He puts a lot of emphasis on his religion and describes his role at HUD as a vehicle for the larger mission of revitalizing housing across the country. Turner's won some respect from a few sources already, while others still have questions, especially about some DOGE-style cuts that temporarily hit programs like Section 4 grants and threaten other programs that benefit developers. We'll be waiting to see whether Turner and Congress can steer HUD into the light or if developers will be left in underfunded, red-taped purgatory.
Tariffs have terrified Wall Street, but so far, New York City's biggest builders said they aren't feeling the pain. Every year, we rank the top general contractors, as well as architects and developers in New York. And I use that as a good excuse to call up some big builders and ask them what they're worried about. The president of Broadway Builders told me he hadn't paid a tariff yet. And a lot of them talked about the uncertainty and didn't want to get too caught up in worrying about something that isn't finalized. Right now, there's a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum that took effect in March, a matched levy on Canadian lumber, the universal 10% import tax that hit April 5th, and, of course, a maybe ongoing trade war with China. But it's anyone's guess what will happen in the next few months, let alone tomorrow. So it's impossible to gauge whether import taxes levied last month will affect new filings that won't break ground until 2027. That's not to say New York City development is doing great. In fact, most contractors said developers are still struggling to put deals together, same as in 2023 and 2024. A few of the reasons: still elevated interest rates, higher labor and materials costs, and a persistent bid-ask spread. But development hasn't totally stalled out either. Many of the top contractors on our list maintained their pace from last year or even pulled ahead a little bit, with more square feet under construction. The hot ticket for projects right now is definitely residential, either rentals or condos. Very little new multifamily was going up after the 421A tax abatement expired, but with the new break, 45X now in place, the pace is picking back up, though with some complications. A lot of developers are opting for 99-unit buildings to avoid the wage thresholds that now kick in for projects over 100 units. Office to resi conversions also got hammers going this year. On the other hand, affordable developers are worried about HUD slashing its spending. Overall, contractors told me they'll weather whatever comes their way, just how they do business.
For the last few years, residential real estate companies have had to join forces or die. The stalled housing market and high mortgage rates have pushed firms to look for big, splashy ways to keep their businesses growing. Look at Rocket Companies. The mortgage firm announced 2 seismic deals in a matter of weeks: a $1.75 billion deal to acquire Redfin and a $9.4 billion deal for the top mortgage servicer, Mr. Cooper Group. Those deals added home search and mortgage services to its platform and widened its pipeline of consumers. Or else look at Compass. The brokerage has gobbled up firms of all sizes. Now it's got one of the largest agent headcounts in the country in offices from the Northeast to the Southwest and everywhere in between. But with bigger businesses come big concerns, mostly the concern of getting smacked down with an antitrust case. The Department of Justice is less than a year off securing record settlements from top brokerages and NAR, the industry's top authority. So, how big can the consolidation wave get before the Fed step in? The Biden administration had pretty stringent merger guidelines. Some people hoped the new administration would loosen those, but the new chair of the FTC and his counterpart at the DOJ have indicated that that isn't the case. Federal law requires that companies report major acquisitions. Compass's big acquisition of app properties seems to have gotten the green light, but both of those Rocket Companies deals are still pending and probably still under federal review. The government can determine that a company has too much market share and sue to block the transaction, or strike a deal with the company that would allow it to execute the transaction without substantially reducing competition. But even with pushback as a possibility, it doesn't seem like the consolidation wave is slowing down. We'll be paying attention to which firms keep getting bigger and how they handle it.
With Donald Trump back in office, all eyes are back on Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach. The president's private club has really captured the public imagination, I think mainly because there's never been anything like this before. Previous presidents have had homes away from the White House, but this one isn't a quiet getaway. It is a club, a restaurant, a golf course, and really the stage for Trump's political theater. When he won, there was all the speculation about whether his cabinet members would start buying homes in Palm Beach to be close to him, and the rumor mill was going crazy. We haven't seen any of these cabinet deals really come to fruition, but the island's market has surged nonetheless. Pending contracts jumped 400% in the weeks following the election, and more than $100 million in sales have closed in the neighborhood around Mar-a-Lago since then. Agents say some of these buyers are Trump fans who want to be near the action, but mostly they were really confident in the market in those early weeks. More interestingly, Trump's been pulling some of his longtime Palm Beach County neighbors into the new administration. Dr. Oz, who bought his oceanfront house on the island for $18 million in 2015, is the president's pick to lead Medicare and Medicaid, and an incredible 16 current and former Trump administration ambassadors own homes in Palm Beach County, although most of them seem to actually own homes just north of Palm Beach proper in Jupiter. They include former car dealer John Arrigo, who's now the ambassador to Portugal. Real estate has always been all about location. My sources tell me that proximity to Mar-a-Lago is an important factor for their clients these days. And for those with international political ambitions, there are still plenty of ambassador roles open.